Have you ever wondered how billionaires turn repeated failures into unstoppable success? Fail Like a Billionaire reveals the mindset, strategies, and hacks that allowed Jack Ma and the founders of Alibaba to transform rejection, mistakes, and setbacks into a global empire. This audiobook dives deep into how to embrace failure as your secret weapon, turning rejection into opportunity, and lessons into action, persistence, resilience, and calculated risk for massive growth, practical techniques to fail smarter, faster, and stronger than anyone else. Learn to stop fearing failure and start leveraging it to crush your business goals, dominate your industry, and create extraordinary success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, startup founder, or business enthusiast, this audiobook will give you the roadmap to fail forward and win big. Chapter 1. The Failure Mindset. Why Losing is Winning. Every journey to success begins the same way, with failure. And not the small, forgettable kind of failure that slips through the cracks of life, but the kind that hits hard, leaves scars, and makes you question everything. The kind that most people would call defeat. But here's the truth. Failure is not a setback. Failure is a signal. A signal that you are stretching yourself beyond your comfort zone. A signal that you are attempting something worth attempting. And most importantly, a signal that, if you respond correctly, you are on the path to winning. Consider Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. Before he became one of the richest men in the world, before he built an empire that changed global commerce, he was a man repeatedly told he would never succeed. Ma was rejected from more than 30 jobs after college. Yes, 30. He applied to KFC when it first came to China, and was rejected. He applied to Harvard multiple times and was rejected. He even struggled in school, failing math, performing poorly on standardized exams, and being told that he lacked the talent to succeed in business. Most people, after 2 or 3 rejections, would have quit. But Jack Ma saw each no as an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to sharpen his focus. He once said, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure." This is the essence of the failure mindset, to view every setback not as a reflection of your worth, but as a data point, a signal, a stepping stone. Every failure carries a lesson if you are willing to see it. And here's the first technique I want you to adopt. Write down every failure. Make a list of every time you tried and didn't succeed. Include every personal, academic, and professional failure. Don't skip anything. Seeing them in black and white helps you detach the emotional weight and start analyzing them objectively. Once you have this list, take each item and ask 3 questions. What went wrong? Why did it go wrong? What can I do differently next time? Jack Ma did this informally throughout his early career. After each rejection, he would reflect on what he could improve. If one approach didn't work, he tried another. This is the analytical side of the failure mindset, seeing mistakes as information rather than judgment. The failure mindset requires reframing your emotional response. When you fail, most people feel embarrassment, shame, or frustration. The failure mindset teaches you to replace those emotions with curiosity. Ask yourself, what is this failure trying to teach me? The moment you ask that question, failure transforms from an obstacle into a tool. Every failure becomes a stepping stone. As Jack Ma has said, you need the right mindset to see failure as a gift. And this is why we repeat the mantra, every failure is a hidden stepping stone. Find it, own it, use it. Say it. Believe it. Internalize it. Let's break down how this works in practice. Take a failed business proposal, for example. You've pitched your idea to 5 potential investors, and all of them said no. The average person would feel discouraged and give up. Someone with the failure mindset, however, does this. Step 1. Analyze why it was rejected. Were the numbers off? Was the story unclear? Was the market too early? Step 2. Extract one actionable insight from each rejection. One investor said your target market was too narrow. Refine it. Another said your team lacked experience. Find partners or advisors. Step 3. Apply these insights immediately. Adjust, pivot, and try again. Jack Ma faced this exact scenario when pitching Alibaba to investors. Early investors turned him down because they didn't believe in e-commerce in China. But each rejection forced him to refine his pitch, clarify his vision, and build an argument that was undeniable. By the time he found the right investors, the pitch was airtight. This is the compounding power of the failure mindset. Each rejection makes you sharper, stronger, and closer to success. Now, let's address a common objection. But what if I fail too much? What if I never succeed? This is where persistence and perspective come into play. The failure mindset does not ignore the possibility of defeat. It accepts it. It anticipates it. But it also insists that as long as you keep learning, keep iterating, keep taking the lessons from each failure, your eventual success is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of inevitability. Jack Ma has said, "I don't want people who are right all the time. I want people who fail, learn, and move forward." The truth is, repeated failures, when approached correctly, build a resilience and insight that no success alone can provide. Here's a simple exercise to begin cultivating this mindset today. For the next 7 days, identify one minor failure or setback each day. It could be a project that didn't go as planned, a conversation that fell flat, or even a personal habit you struggled to maintain. For each failure, write down the lesson you learned and one action you can take to improve. At the end of the week, review your notes. You will notice a pattern emerging, a roadmap of growth hidden in what once felt like defeat. It's also important to surround yourself with people who understand the value of failure. Jack Ma built a team that didn't fear making mistakes. He encouraged experimentation and forgave failure when it was paired with learning. In your own life, seek mentors, friends, and colleagues who see failure as a signal, not a shame. Avoid those who punish mistakes without lessons. They will limit your growth. Finally, internalize this core truth. Failing does not define you. How you respond does. Jack Ma wasn't defined by his dozens of job rejections. He was defined by his persistence, his analytical response to setbacks, and his willingness to see opportunity where others saw failure. When you adopt this mindset, your own failures become a strategic advantage. You stop fearing mistakes, because each one is a hidden lesson. You stop comparing yourself to others, because your failures are unique stepping stones toward your own path. And you stop waiting for luck, because you are actively creating it with every lesson learned. The failure mindset transforms fear into fuel, rejection into insight, and loss into leverage. It is the difference between those who watch opportunity pass them by and those who, like Jack Ma, turn repeated no's into a global empire. Chapter 2. Rejection as Fuel, Turning No into Opportunity. Rejection. The word alone can make most people flinch. It evokes fear, frustration, self-doubt. And yet, for the world's most successful entrepreneurs, rejection is not a roadblock, it is fuel. It is the spark that lights ambition, the pressure that sharpens creativity, and the mirror that reflects the gaps you need to close to succeed. No one exemplifies this better than Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. Before Alibaba became a global powerhouse, Jack Ma faced rejection so consistently that it could have crushed anyone else. After graduating from Hangzhou Teachers Institute in 1988, Ma applied for over 30 jobs and was turned down by every single one. He even applied to KFC, one of the first international franchises in China, and was rejected, while the other 23 applicants were hired. He applied to Harvard 10 times and received a rejection each time. Most people would have seen these no's as proof that they weren't good enough. Jack Ma. He saw them as clues, a guidebook, a map of what he needed to do differently. Jack Ma famously said, "I don't care about your failures. I care about your perseverance." And this is the core principle of using rejection as fuel. The first step is to reframe rejection from judgment to information. Each no is data, an indicator of what doesn't work, what is missing, or what needs improvement. If you stop seeing rejection as an insult and start seeing it as insight, you immediately shift your energy from discouragement to empowerment. Let's break this down into actionable steps. First, you need to track every rejection. For 1 month, write down every time you encounter a no. This can be anything: a job application, a business pitch, a networking request, or even a personal goal someone doubts you can achieve. Next to each rejection, ask, why did I receive this no? What can I learn from it? What action can I take to turn this into a yes next time? This process may feel uncomfortable, but it is precisely what builds resilience and clarity. Jack Ma used this technique informally throughout his early ventures. For every investor who refused to back Alibaba, he asked himself, what didn't they understand? What were their objections? How can I make my vision clearer, more compelling, more irresistible? Each rejection became a tool to refine his pitch, sharpen his message, and anticipate objections before they arose. Consider Alibaba's early struggles with investors. When Ma first pitched Alibaba to venture capitalists in the United States, he was met with skepticism. Investors didn't believe China was ready for e-commerce. They didn't understand the potential of the market. Each rejection could have ended the company before it began. Instead, Jack Ma studied every no, learned from the questions and concerns, and returned with a stronger, more persuasive pitch. Over time, this iterative process converted rejection into preparation, and preparation into eventual success. Here's an exercise you can implement immediately. For each rejection, extract one actionable insight. This is critical. Insight is what separates people who fail repeatedly from those who fail forward. For example, if a client refuses your proposal because your solution seems too expensive, the insight is not "I'm bad at sales." The insight is, "I need to clarify the value and ROI more clearly." Take that insight, refine your approach, and try again. This is exactly how Jack Ma transformed investor skepticism into billion-dollar results. Rejection as fuel also requires a mindset shift in your emotional response. Most people internalize rejection, making it personal. They ask, does this mean I'm not good enough? But the failure mindset, what Jack Ma calls perseverance mindset, teaches you to ask, what is this telling me about my approach or my message? By depersonalizing rejection, you free yourself from fear, anger, and discouragement. You transform negative energy into productive, focused energy. Now, let's talk about persistence and iteration. Jack Ma's success didn't come from a single breakthrough. It came from thousands of small iterations, each prompted by a no. He refused to be paralyzed by failure. Each rejection was an opportunity to adapt, refine, and improve. And this is critical for your own journey. Use rejection to fuel iteration. Don't fear mistakes. Study them, analyze them, and adjust your strategy. The faster you respond to rejection with action, the closer you move towards success. Jack Ma also emphasizes the power of vision in turning rejection into fuel. He was not merely responding to no's as a reaction. He was always guided by a larger purpose. In his words, you should learn from your competitor, but never copy. Copy and you die. Each rejection pushed him to clarify what Alibaba stood for, what it would become, and why it mattered. When rejection meets clarity of purpose, it becomes a catalyst rather than a deterrent. Another key aspect is resilience training. Jack Ma's persistence in the face of repeated rejection didn't happen overnight. He intentionally cultivated a tolerance for discomfort, criticism, and doubt. This is something you can practice. Start with small rejections. Ask for feedback, pitch a new idea, or negotiate a small deal. Each time you face a no, observe your emotional response, adjust, and continue. Over time, your threshold for rejection grows, and the world's negative judgments have less power over you. Finally, let's tie this into actionable steps you can use immediately. Keep a rejection journal for 30 days. Note every no, analyze the cause, and write down one lesson. Iterate based on insight. Adjust your approach or presentation immediately. Don't let rejection linger unprocessed. Desensitize yourself to fear by intentionally seeking opportunities that may result in rejection. The more you experience it, the less it controls you. Keep your larger vision in focus. Use rejection to sharpen your strategy, not dilute your ambition. Jack Ma's path shows us that rejection is not the opposite of success. It is an essential ingredient. Every no is a piece of intelligence, a guidepost, a signal. Ignore it, and it becomes a block. Embrace it, analyze it, and act on it, and it becomes fuel. Chapter 3. The Power of Persistence. Fail faster, learn faster. In the world of business, speed kills, but not in the way most people think. It's not about rushing blindly. It's about speed of iteration, the ability to try, fail, learn, and adjust faster than anyone else. This is the principle that separates those who watch opportunities pass them by from those who dominate industries. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, built his empire on this very principle. He didn't wait for perfect timing, perfect strategy, or perfect conditions. He acted, he failed, he learned, and he acted again. And each iteration brought him closer to success. Jack Ma once said, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure." But notice the nuance. Persistence is not blind endurance. It's intelligent, purposeful action repeated relentlessly. Each failure carries insight. Each mistake delivers intelligence. Each iteration shortens the learning curve. The faster you can fail, the faster you can learn, and the faster you can dominate. This is the essence of fail fast, adapt faster, dominate last. Let's break this down. Most entrepreneurs fear public failure. They wait to launch until everything seems perfect. They polish, revise, and hesitate, sometimes for months, even years. The problem is, the market does not wait. Jack Ma understood this better than almost anyone. Alibaba's early days were far from perfect. In the late 1990s, e-commerce was still nascent in China. Internet penetration was low. Payment systems were unreliable. Many investors and competitors advised Ma to wait for better conditions. Instead, he launched anyway. He tested ideas quickly, observed the market's response, and adjusted in real time. This is your first actionable lesson. Launch before you are perfect. Don't wait for ideal conditions. They rarely exist. Start with a minimal version of your idea, test it publicly, and gather real feedback. Every action, even if imperfect, provides data you cannot generate from theory alone. Jack Ma iterated Alibaba's early platform relentlessly. Payment systems failed, websites crashed, and logistics were a nightmare. But each failure revealed the exact adjustments needed to survive and grow. Here's a practical technique you can use immediately. Analyze failures within 24 hours. After each experiment, each pitch, each prototype, review what went wrong. Write down 3 things. What didn't work? Why didn't it work? What can I do differently next time? Jack Ma applied this informally throughout Alibaba's early years. For example, the company's first e-commerce platform struggled to attract buyers and sellers simultaneously. Instead of giving up, Ma gathered data from each failed transaction, each frustrated user, and each dissatisfied merchant. He then used this information to tweak the platform, improve the user experience, and adjust marketing strategies. Within months, these rapid iterations transformed Alibaba from a struggling website into a marketplace with growing traction. Another aspect of persistence is public experimentation. Don't hide your failures. Test ideas openly, and be prepared to learn from real-world outcomes. This may feel risky, but public failure is one of the fastest teachers. Jack Ma's approach was transparent. He openly confronted challenges with his team, investors, and even the media. By making the failure visible, he accelerated learning and built credibility simultaneously. People knew he was trying, learning, and adapting, and that is how you build trust and momentum at the same time. Persistence also requires tracking metrics and outcomes meticulously. You cannot improve what you do not measure. Jack Ma's team monitored user engagement, website traffic, transaction volumes, and merchant feedback continuously. Each failed attempt provided actionable metrics. Each adjustment improved performance. By treating every failure as a source of data rather than a setback, Alibaba iterated faster than any competitor could react. Now let's talk about emotional resilience. Speed of iteration can be mentally exhausting. Failure after failure, day after day, can shake confidence. This is why repetition and mindset are critical. Repeat the phrase, fail fast, adapt faster, dominate last. Let it become your anchor. When a project collapses, when an investor declines, when a campaign flops, remind yourself, this is information, not judgment. This is insight, not insult. This is a stepping stone, not a tombstone. Here's an exercise to build this resilience. Set a 1-week challenge where you attempt 5 small experiments in your business or personal projects. Each time, set up a clear hypothesis, execute quickly, and review results within 24 hours. Record what you learned and apply it immediately. By the end of the week, you will have practiced failing fast, learning fast, and adapting faster than most people do in a year. Persistence also means staying committed to the long-term vision even while iterating. Jack Ma faced countless naysayers in the early 2000s. Analysts, media outlets, and competitors often predicted Alibaba would fail. He did not ignore the feedback, but he did not abandon his long-term goal either. Each iteration served the larger mission, creating a platform that connected millions of buyers and sellers and transformed commerce in China. Your iterations must have a purpose. Failing fast without direction is chaos. Failing fast toward a clear goal is strategy. Let's use a modern example outside Alibaba. Consider Elon Musk's SpaceX. The first 3 Falcon 1 rockets failed. Investors were skeptical, media doubted success, and public failure seemed inevitable. But Musk treated each failure as intelligence. Engineers analyzed every malfunction, corrected mistakes, and applied insights immediately. By the 4th launch, SpaceX succeeded, setting the stage for contracts with NASA and a multi-billion-dollar space industry disruption. The principle is universal. Speed of iteration accelerates learning, and persistent application turns failure into dominance. Finally, let's summarize the key actions for you to implement. Launch imperfectly. Don't wait for ideal conditions. Start with a minimal version of your idea. Fail publicly. Collect real-world data rather than hypothetical insights. Analyze within 24 hours. Extract 3 actionable lessons from every failed attempt. Track metrics continuously. Measure what works and what doesn't. Repeat mantra. Fail fast. Adapt faster. Dominate last. Let it guide your emotional response and focus. Iterate toward a goal. Ensure every failure moves you closer to your long-term vision. Jack Ma's success is not a result of luck or innate genius. It is a product of relentless, intelligent persistence. Chapter 4. Risk without fear. Betting on yourself. Success does not come to those who play it safe. It comes to those willing to risk everything, time, money, reputation, on a vision that others can't yet see. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, embodies this principle. He risked everything he had to pursue a dream that most people thought was impossible, building an e-commerce empire in a country where the internet was almost non-existent. His story teaches us that risk, when approached strategically and without fear, is the engine of extraordinary success. Jack Ma once said, "If you want to be successful, learn from your mistakes. But if you really want to be successful, learn to take risks." Notice the distinction. Risk is not recklessness. Risk is calculated action in the face of uncertainty. Ma understood that the greatest opportunities often lie where others refuse to tread. In 1999, he convinced 17 friends to invest $60,000 collectively to start Alibaba, even though the internet in China was still in its infancy. People called it crazy. They warned him it would never work. Yet, Ma saw the opportunity and acted. The first lesson here is that risk is inevitable on the path to extraordinary success. If you avoid risk entirely, you avoid failure, but you also avoid opportunity. The question is not whether you will take risks, it is how you take them. Jack Ma approached risk with both courage and intelligence. He calculated worst-case scenarios, prepared for them, and then acted as if failure was temporary. This mindset turns fear from a barrier into a tool. Fear signals the magnitude of the opportunity, not the impossibility of success. Let's break this down into actionable strategy. The first step is calculate the worst-case scenario. Ask yourself, what is the absolute worst outcome of this risk? Can I survive it, learn from it, and recover? What resources or strategies can I put in place to mitigate the damage? Jack Ma did this constantly. Before launching Alibaba, he knew the infrastructure, payment systems, and logistics in China were far from ideal. He knew there was a significant chance of failure. But he prepared. He built small prototypes, tested platforms with limited users, and iterated quickly. By anticipating the worst-case scenario, he reduced uncertainty enough to take decisive action. The second step is act as if failure is temporary. Most people hesitate because they fear permanent consequences. Losing money, losing reputation, losing credibility. Ma's philosophy was different. He treated failure as a learning experiment, not a final verdict. This reframing allows you to take bold steps without paralysis. When he was rejected by investors, Ma didn't retreat. He adapted, refined, and pitched again. When early Alibaba platforms struggled, he didn't shut down the project. He analyzed, iterated, and improved. Acting as if failure is temporary creates the mental space to take risks others won't. Now let's consider the third element. Train your brain to view risk as opportunity. This is both a mindset and a habit. Most people see risk as danger. Successful entrepreneurs see risk as the raw material for growth. Jack Ma repeatedly emphasized the importance of embracing risk. He once said, "Opportunities lie in the place where the complaints are." People complain, businesses are needed. Risk is where others avoid. By seeking opportunities that others fear, you position yourself to capture outsized rewards. Here's a practical exercise to implement this today. Identify one area in your business or personal life where fear of risk is holding you back. Write down the absolute worst-case outcome of pursuing it. Be brutally honest. Identify at least 2 ways you could mitigate or recover from that outcome. Take one small but decisive action toward that risk within 24 hours. For example, let's say you're hesitant to pitch your business idea to investors. The worst-case scenario is they say no. But the mitigation is simple. Prepare your pitch, rehearse, and gather feedback before presenting. Acting despite the possibility of rejection puts you in the same mindset as Jack Ma. Risk is fuel, not a barrier. Another critical aspect of risk-taking is timing and vision alignment. Risk without direction is chaos. Risk aligned with vision is strategy. When Ma launched Alibaba, the internet in China had less than 1% penetration. Most observers called the idea premature and unrealistic. Yet Ma had a long-term vision. China's economy would digitize, and millions of small businesses would need an online marketplace. By aligning risk with a clearly defined vision, he transformed apparent foolishness into foresight. Today, Alibaba dominates global e-commerce, proving that taking strategic risks before the market is ready can lead to enormous first-mover advantage. We can also learn from contemporary examples outside Alibaba. Consider Elon Musk's Tesla and SpaceX ventures. Musk invested his own fortune, millions of dollars, even risking personal bankruptcy, to fund projects that many experts predicted would fail. He calculated worst-case scenarios, acted as if failure was temporary, and embraced risks where others hesitated. The result? Industry disruption, billions in value creation, and historical innovation. Risk, when paired with preparation, vision, and persistence, is the differentiator between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Now, let's discuss the emotional component of risk-taking. Humans are wired to avoid loss and seek comfort. That instinct often paralyzes potential achievers. Jack Ma overcame this by reframing failure and risk as temporary experiments with high information value. He treated each action as data gathering. Investors said no. Data. Platform crashed. Data. Competitor gained traction. Data. Each perceived threat became intelligence to guide the next step. This emotional reframing is as important as strategic preparation. It allows you to act decisively without being overwhelmed by fear. To implement this in your life, adopt a simple risk assessment and action cycle. Identify a high-value opportunity that feels risky, assess the worst-case scenario and mitigation strategies, act quickly and deliberately, treat the outcome as feedback, not judgment, adjust, iterate, and pursue the next risk. Jack Ma's approach shows us that the combination of strategic calculation and fearless action creates results that seem impossible to outsiders. Most people never take the leap because they overestimate risk and underestimate their capacity to adapt. Ma's career proves the opposite. When you calculate intelligently, act boldly, and reframe fear, risk becomes your most powerful ally. Chapter 5. Lessons from every loss. Mining gold from mistakes. Failure is not the end of the road. It's a mirror, one that reflects where you are and where you still need to grow. Every business setback contains a hidden lesson, a piece of insight that, if captured, becomes the foundation of your next success. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is simple. Successful people analyze their losses, extract the lesson, and apply it. Unsuccessful people avoid reflection because it's uncomfortable. Jack Ma embodies the first kind. Before founding Alibaba, he started multiple ventures that failed. He launched an early translation company that couldn't sustain itself. He created an online directory called China Pages in 1995, years ahead of its time, but it didn't gain traction. Each failure could have been a full stop. Instead, he treated them as training grounds. He once said, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure." That single sentence defines his entire approach. Every loss became a teacher. When China Pages failed, Ma didn't walk away bitter or broken. He reviewed what went wrong. He realized he had brilliant ideas but lacked operational execution. He learned he needed better communication and negotiation skills. Those lessons later became the backbone of how he built Alibaba, with a strong team, clear communication, and a long-term vision. This brings us to the first key lesson. Every loss has value if you extract it. The question is not whether you failed, it's whether you learned. The fastest way to waste a failure is to ignore it. The fastest way to grow from it is to dissect it. Here's the 3-question exercise that turns failure into a teacher. What went wrong? Be brutally honest. Name the specific actions, assumptions, or decisions that failed. Why did it go wrong? Look for root causes, not surface excuses. Was it poor timing? Weak execution? A gap in knowledge? How do I fix it next time? This is the transformation step, where loss becomes progress. Create a clear plan or rule that prevents the same error. Let's walk through an example. Suppose you launched a marketing campaign that flopped. The results were poor, the cost was high, and you feel defeated. You could call it a failure and move on, or you could extract gold from it. What went wrong? The messaging didn't connect with your audience. Why? You didn't research deeply enough into customer pain points. How do I fix it? Before any future campaign, conduct 5 customer interviews to validate your assumptions. That single insight turns one failure into a lasting improvement. Jack Ma did this at scale, constantly. After the failure of China Pages, he realized that many people didn't understand or trust the internet. He learned that education would have to come before adoption. So, when he built Alibaba, he spent as much time educating potential clients as he did selling to them. That insight came directly from analyzing his first loss. He also learned that leadership was more than vision. It was resilience in public. During his early years, his team saw him fail repeatedly. Servers crashed. Investors rejected him. Yet, Ma never hid from his team. He stood in front of them, acknowledged what went wrong, and explained how they would fix it. He knew that vulnerability combined with clarity built trust. His losses taught him that transparency strengthens culture. Let's be honest, analyzing failure isn't pleasant. It's raw. It exposes weaknesses. But this discomfort is where the transformation happens. When you avoid it, you stay stuck. When you face it, you evolve. Think of failure like mining for gold. The raw ore doesn't look valuable. You have to crush it, refine it, and filter the impurities. Only then do you find the gold inside. The same applies to your setbacks. Most people walk away after the first disappointment, never realizing that buried inside their failure was the exact insight they needed. Another modern example of this principle is Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks. Before Starbucks became a global name, Schultz failed to convince American investors that an Italian-style coffee house could work in the US. They told him Americans would never pay $3 for coffee. But instead of giving up, he studied those rejections. He learned that people didn't understand the experience he was offering. He shifted his narrative from selling coffee to selling community and belonging. That insight turned rejection into a billion-dollar strategy. Failure reveals blind spots. It shows you what you don't yet know. Jack Ma's early ventures taught him that technical expertise alone wasn't enough. He needed leadership and persuasion. Schultz's rejections taught him how to communicate value. In both cases, the loss illuminated the path forward. Here's a practical technique to build this mindset into your life. At the end of every week, write down your 3 biggest mistakes or missed opportunities. Then, for each one, answer the same 3 questions. What went wrong? Why? How can I fix or prevent it next time? This simple practice builds mental resilience. It turns your failures into data. Over time, you start to see patterns, recurring decisions, emotional triggers, or habits that create setbacks. Once you see the pattern, you can correct it. Another powerful insight from Jack Ma's experience is the role of emotional detachment in learning from mistakes. He once said, "Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine." That mindset allowed him to process failure without self-blame. He treated loss as part of the process, not a reflection of his worth. If you internalize this mindset, you'll stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" The emotional energy you spend on frustration can then be redirected into insight and adaptation. Jack Ma's story also highlights another hidden benefit of loss: humility. Failure keeps ambition grounded. When Alibaba grew rapidly, Ma kept reminding his team that arrogance is the first step toward decline. His own failures made him humble enough to keep learning. He once told his employees, "Don't celebrate too early. Today's success could be tomorrow's challenge." That wisdom only comes from someone who has lived through repeated setbacks. So here's your challenge. Embrace the post-failure process as seriously as you would celebrate a win. Build a failure review ritual. When something goes wrong, instead of rushing to fix it or hide it, stop. Analyze it. Discuss it with your team. Document it. Write down the insights and the corrective actions. Treat every setback as an investment in your learning account. The more you deposit, the richer your wisdom becomes. Chapter 6. Embracing the impossible. Seeing opportunity where others see defeat. There's a pattern among the world's most successful entrepreneurs. They all have a habit of running toward problems that everyone else runs away from. When most people say, "That can't be done," visionaries hear, "No one else is doing it yet." Jack Ma understood this better than almost anyone. His entire career was built on chasing what others dismissed as impossible. In the 1990s, when people in China barely knew what the internet was, he was talking about building an online global marketplace. At the time, China had fewer than 1 million internet users. Less than 1% of the population even had access. The infrastructure was weak, online payment systems didn't exist, and logistics were chaotic. When Jack Ma presented his idea of Alibaba to friends and potential investors, most of them laughed. They told him flatly, "You don't know anything about technology or computers. This is impossible." But that word, impossible, was exactly what fueled him. He once said, "The very things people call impossible are the ones worth doing. Because if they were easy, everyone would be doing them." That single line captures the mindset. To embrace the impossible, you must reprogram how you interpret resistance. Most people see obstacles as a signal to stop. The great ones see obstacles as a signal to begin. They understand that difficulty is a filter. It weeds out the weak and leaves opportunity for the persistent. Let's look at Alibaba's early years. When Ma launched it in 1999, China's e-commerce landscape was a desert. He had no access to venture capital, no government support, and very few technical experts. But he had one thing: belief. Not blind optimism, but strategic belief. He believed that small businesses in China could one day reach customers around the world if given the right platform. Every expert told him it couldn't work. But he ignored the noise. He said, "We will make it work because we believe in the future of small business." That belief became Alibaba's founding DNA. Today, Alibaba serves over 1 billion annual active consumers and has helped millions of small merchants grow online. What once seemed impossible has become one of the most powerful business ecosystems on the planet. So here's the first rule of embracing the impossible. If everyone else says it can't be done, that's your green light. When people say something is too difficult, too big, or too early, they're often revealing their limitations, not the limitations of reality. The masses operate from fear. Visionaries operate from possibility. Here's how to start. Step 1. Identify the problems everyone avoids. Take out a notebook. Make a list of 10 problems or challenges that people in your industry constantly complain about, but no one seems to be solving. These are your potential gold mines. Jack Ma did this instinctively. He noticed that small Chinese businesses were invisible globally. They couldn't reach customers outside their province, let alone overseas. Everyone complained about it, but no one acted. Ma saw that gap and asked, "What if we could connect them through the internet?" That question changed his life and the global economy. You can do the same in any field. Look for the bottlenecks, inefficiencies, and frustrations. The things people call too hard often where the biggest opportunities lie. Step 2. Redefine impossible as unproven. Every major innovation in history started as something impossible. Electric light, airplanes, digital currency, all faced ridicule. But impossible simply means not yet proven by someone who refused to quit. Jack Ma's team at Alibaba faced impossible logistics challenges. Delivering packages across China's vast geography was a nightmare. Instead of giving up, Ma looked at it differently. He said, "If there's a problem, there's an opportunity. We just need the right people to solve it." That mindset led to the creation of Cainiao Network, Alibaba's logistics arm, which now handles billions of deliveries annually. The impossible problem of logistics became one of Alibaba's greatest advantages. So whenever you face something that feels impossible, reframe it. Don't ask, "Can this be done?" Ask, "How can this be done?" That single word, how, transforms defeat into discovery. Step 3. Build belief systems stronger than doubt. Jack Ma once said, "Today is hard. Tomorrow will be worse. But the day after tomorrow will be sunshine." That line isn't just motivational, it's strategic. It means every great idea must pass through doubt, pain, and failure before it reaches success. Most people quit on day 2, before they see the sunshine. To embrace the impossible, your belief must outlast the world's disbelief. Belief is not emotion, it's discipline. It's the daily act of showing up when the evidence hasn't arrived yet. When investors told Ma no, he didn't see rejection. He saw validation that he was on the edge of innovation. When critics laughed at him, he smiled and said, "They will laugh for 3 years, but after 10 years, they'll respect us." He was right. You can train this kind of belief. Every time you hear a no, treat it as a signpost that you're doing something unconventional. Write down the rejections, the doubts, the criticism, and then write one action you'll take anyway. That simple ritual keeps your focus on progress instead of approval. Step 4. Surround yourself with impossible thinkers. Jack Ma carefully selected his founding team. He called them his dream builders. None of them were experts in technology, but they shared one quality: relentless belief. He once said, We are not the smartest people, but we are the most united. That unity around an impossible mission made all the difference. You need the same environment. Build your circle with people who see potential in problems, not problems in potential. Step 5. Test the impossible in small, controlled experiments. Belief alone is not enough. You need validation through action. Every big innovation begins with a small test. When you take a massive idea and reduce it to a small, actionable step, you convert impossibility into momentum. For instance, before Alibaba became an international powerhouse, Jack Ma tested the platform with a small group of friends. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He just acted. When the prototype worked, he scaled it. The same principle applies to any impossible idea. Start small, fail fast, learn quickly. Modern examples of embracing the impossible. Let's look at Elon Musk, who decided to build rockets when everyone said private space travel was absurd. SpaceX failed multiple launches in its early years. Critics mocked him. Investors fled. But Musk reframed failure as data and pressed on. In 2012, SpaceX became the first private company to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. What was once impossible became the new standard. Or look at Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She was told repeatedly that her idea for footless pantyhose would never sell. She was rejected by manufacturers who didn't understand her vision. But she persisted, tested prototypes, and launched with $5,000 of her savings. Today, she's a billionaire. Her success came from embracing what the industry dismissed as impossible. Both examples follow Jack Ma's core principle. Impossible means unexplored. Step 6. Create a personal impossible list. Here's a practical tool you can use today. Make a list of 3 goals or ideas that scare you. The ones you secretly think are beyond your reach. Then, for each one, write. Chapter 7. The Resilience Loop. Building Mental Armor Against Setbacks. There's a saying Jack Ma often repeated to his employees. If you've never failed, you've never tried anything new. To him, failure wasn't the opposite of success, it was the foundation of it. What separated Jack Ma from the countless entrepreneurs who gave up wasn't talent, luck, or connections. It was resilience, his ability to absorb defeat. That is what I call the resilience loop. It's the process of transforming every setback into mental armor for the next challenge. In 1999, when Jack Ma and his team launched Alibaba, the site crashed constantly. Payment systems failed. The platform could not handle orders. Customers complained. Investors pulled back. The local press mocked them as a crazy group of dreamers building castles in the air. Ma could have easily walked away, but instead, he saw every failure as raw material for growth. 1. Resilience is built, not born. People often assume resilient individuals are naturally tough. But resilience is a trained response, not a fixed trait. Jack Ma didn't start out fearless. As a child, he was rejected from middle school twice, from college entrance exams 3 times, and from 30 job applications, including a rejection from KFC. Out of 24 applicants, 23 got hired. He was the one left out. Most people would have developed bitterness or self-doubt. Ma developed endurance. He trained his mind to interpret rejection as feedback. Each no became evidence that he was still in the game. He once said, "Rejection is inspiration." Ask yourself right now, when things go wrong, do you collapse or do you collect information? Because every time you face a setback, your brain is either reinforcing weakness or building armor. 2. The power of the reflection habit. Jack Ma used a simple but powerful tool for mental recovery: daily reflection. He spent quiet moments every night reviewing what went wrong during the day, not to criticize himself, but to learn. He would write down what failed, why it failed, and what he could do differently next time. This habit is at the heart of the resilience loop. When you reflect, you convert emotion into insight. You prevent pain from becoming paralysis. Here's how to do it. Before you sleep tonight, write down the answers to 3 questions. What went wrong today? Why did it go wrong? What will I do differently tomorrow? Do this consistently for 30 days. and you'll start noticing a dramatic shift. Instead of fearing mistakes, you'll start mining them for data. This is exactly how Alibaba turned its early tech failures into operational excellence. Every time a server went down, the team logged every detail, analyzed the cause, and adjusted systems. Within a few years, Alibaba's infrastructure became one of the most resilient in the world. 3. Build your affirmation armor. Reflection is step 1. The next step is reinforcement, training your mind to stay grounded when the storm hits. Jack Ma's version of this was what we might call affirmation armor. He repeated positive, forward-focused statements to himself and his team constantly. One of his favorites was, "We will survive today so we can win tomorrow." It wasn't just motivational fluff, it was neuroscience. Positive affirmations interrupt negative feedback loops. When repeated daily, they rewire your brain's response to stress. You can use this same approach. Choose a short, powerful statement that aligns with your values. Something like, "Setbacks are fuel for mastery." "I bend, but I do not break." "I fail forward, not backward." Write it on a card. Keep it on your desk. Read it out loud every morning before starting your day. Over time, these phrases become automatic, mental armor that activates when life hits hard. 4. Reframing failure as training. One of Jack Ma's most underrated strengths was his ability to reframe. When Alibaba lost millions in early operational mistakes, he didn't call them disasters, he called them tuition fees. He said, "We paid the price to learn how to win." That's what the resilience loop does. It turns loss into learning and learning into leverage. In psychology, this is known as cognitive reappraisal, the act of changing how you interpret a stressful event. Instead of viewing failure as punishment, you see it as preparation. Try this next time you fail. Write down your biggest recent setback. Then answer this question: what skill or strength is this experience forcing me to develop? Maybe a financial loss teaches you fiscal discipline. Maybe a rejection strengthens your communication. Maybe a partnership collapse sharpens your independence. When you consciously extract a lesson, you transform pain into power. Jack Ma once told his staff, "Today is hard. Tomorrow will be worse. But the day after tomorrow will be sunshine." The difference between those who make it and those who don't is that most people quit before the sunshine. Resilience means enduring the storm because you know the sun is coming. 5. The team resilience effect. Resilience is contagious. When Jack Ma built Alibaba, he knew his personal toughness had to transfer to his team. He didn't shield them from problems, he exposed them to reality. When a deal failed or a system crashed, he gathered everyone and said, "Let's find the lesson. Let's build again." This created what psychologists call collective efficacy, a shared belief that the group can overcome challenges together. The result? A culture that doesn't panic under pressure. You can replicate this in your own environment. Whether you're leading a business, a team, or your family, make resilience a shared language. Celebrate lessons learned, not just wins earned. Encourage people to share stories of failure and recovery. When the group normalizes setbacks, fear loses its power. 6. The growth feedback loop. Finally, resilience thrives in what I call the growth feedback loop. It's simple. Act, fail, reflect. Adjust. Act again. Repeat it endlessly. Every loop strengthens your psychological endurance. Every cycle makes you faster, smarter, and calmer under stress. Alibaba used this model religiously. When a marketing campaign failed, they analyzed the data, refined their message, and relaunched. When competitors undercut their prices, they focused on service and customer loyalty. Every loss became fuel for innovation. That's why resilience isn't just a mental trait, it's a business advantage. It gives you staying power in a world obsessed with instant success. 7. Practical daily exercise. Let's end this chapter with a daily exercise you can start today. Step 1. Every morning, repeat your affirmation armor. One line that strengthens your mindset. Step 2. Every evening, complete your 3 reflection questions. What went wrong? Why? What's the fix? Step 3. Once a week, review your notes and highlight patterns. Chapter 8. Mentorship in Failure. Learning from those who've fallen before. You don't have to stumble blindly. Walk through the lessons of others' falls. That phrase alone can save you years of pain. Success is rarely built from genius. It's built from guidance. From learning where not to step before you take the first one. Jack Ma didn't climb from rejection to riches alone. Behind every strategic decision, behind every calculated risk, was a library of lessons borrowed from others' failures. He studied those who had crashed and burned. He asked questions that most people are too proud to ask. He knew that mentorship isn't about copying success, it's about understanding the mistakes that destroy it. Jack Ma once said, "A smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes." 1. The hidden power of failed mentors. Most people look for mentors who seem flawless. They chase billionaires, CEOs, or polished success stories. But that's a mistake. If you want real guidance, find someone who has fallen hard and gotten back up. Why? Because mentors who have failed deeply understand risk. They recognize danger before it appears. They can spot a problem you can't yet see. When Jack Ma built Alibaba, he didn't model himself after Silicon Valley giants like Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates. He didn't have access to them, and more importantly, he didn't need to. Instead, he studied the failures of early Chinese internet ventures, companies that collapsed under government pressure, ran out of funding, or expanded too fast. He asked, "What mistakes did they make that I must not repeat?" That's mentorship through observation. It's proactive learning. It's like walking through a minefield with a map drawn by those who already exploded. You don't need to idolize your mentors. You need to dissect them. 2. Why most people waste mentorship. Let's be clear, mentorship is not about flattery or imitation. It's not about saying, "I want to be just like Jack Ma." True mentorship is about clarity, seeing reality through someone else's mistakes. Too many people treat mentorship like a motivational session instead of a strategy meeting. They listen to inspiring stories, nod their heads, and do nothing differently afterward. That's not mentorship. That's entertainment. If you're serious about growth, you have to extract lessons from every conversation, biography, and case study. Turn other people's scars into your roadmap. Here's how Jack Ma did it. When he met entrepreneurs who failed at e-commerce in the 1990s, he asked 3 questions. What would you have done differently? Where did your plan collapse first? Customers, cash, or culture? What warning signs did you miss? Those answers became the blueprint for Alibaba's resilient strategy. 3. The 3 mentor rule. Here's a technique you can apply today. The 3 mentor rule. Identify 3 people whose journeys mirror your ambitions, but who've stumbled along the way. These can be real-world figures, authors, business leaders, or even people in your community. Now map their failures like this. Mentor. Biggest failure. Cause. Key lesson for you. Example, Jack Ma. Rejected from 30 jobs. Misalignment with others' expectations. Define your own vision. Example, Elon Musk. Nearly bankrupt in 2008. Overextension. Protect cash flow before scaling. This exercise takes abstract advice and turns it into usable, repeatable wisdom. Once you've mapped it out, go deeper. What parallels exist between their failures and your potential weak spots? Are you ignoring the same warning signs? Are you underestimating the same risks? 4. Jack Ma didn't have wealthy investors or powerful friends in the beginning. What he did have was curiosity. He once said, "I always listen to those who failed. They talk from the heart, not from the podium." In the early 2000s, he sought guidance from business owners in China's manufacturing and export industries. Many of them had failed to adapt to the new digital economy. They told him how they mismanaged logistics, trusted the wrong partners, and underestimated foreign competition. Ma turned their stories into strategic advantages. He built Alibaba to solve the very pain points that destroyed those companies. 5. Mentorship as a mirror, not a crutch. A mentor's job is not to hold your hand, it's to hold up a mirror. Too many people depend on mentors for validation instead of revelation. They want praise, not correction. But correction is where transformation happens. Jack Ma was never afraid of tough feedback. In fact, he demanded it. When his colleagues disagreed, he encouraged debate. When his senior team told him his idea wouldn't work, he didn't silence them, he studied their logic. He said, "I always learn from people who criticize me. Because if you agree with me, you can't teach me anything new." That's the attitude you must cultivate. 6. The reverse mentor strategy. Here's something most people overlook. Mentorship works both ways. Jack Ma often surrounded himself with younger, more tech-savvy individuals. He called this reverse mentorship. He understood that wisdom doesn't only flow from age to youth, it flows from relevance to curiosity. In today's world, technology, consumer behavior, and market trends change too fast for one generation to know it all. You need mentors from multiple directions. Older mentors to teach you endurance and perspective. Peer mentors to challenge your ideas in real time. Younger mentors to help you stay agile and innovative. By combining all three, you create a continuous feedback loop, one that prevents stagnation and accelerates adaptation. 7. Turn every story into strategy. To build your own mentorship advantage, you must turn stories into systems. Every podcast, autobiography, or business biography you consume can become a source of tactical insight. Don't just highlight quotes, translate them into actions. For example, when Jack Ma said, "We will make it because we are young, and we never give up," what's the actionable insight? It's this: youth isn't about age, it's about adaptability. So the action is, stay curious, stay flexible, and keep testing. Every lesson you read or hear must end with a behavior change. Ask yourself, what will I do differently tomorrow because of this? That's how mentorship transforms from inspiration to execution. 8. Your mentorship blueprint. Let's close this chapter with a practical roadmap you can follow right now. Step 1. Identify 3 mentors, living or historical, who failed in the areas you want to succeed. Step 2. Study their downfalls in detail. What patterns repeat? What blind spots do you share? Step 3. Write your own anti-failure manual. List the top 5 traps you must avoid based on what you learned. Step 4. Revisit that list every month as your business or career evolves. Chapter 9. Strategic Experimentation, Turning Trial and Error into Triumph. Every great success story is built on a long trail of experiments, most of which failed. But those failures weren't wasted. They were data points, clues, and stepping stones that revealed the next right move. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, once said, "You have to make your team have value, innovation, and vision. Without trials, you can't know what works." He wasn't just talking about blind trial and error, he was talking about strategic experimentation, the kind that compounds over time and eventually transforms mistakes into mastery. Let's be clear, the difference between ordinary entrepreneurs and extraordinary ones isn't that one fails less. It's that one learns faster. Every small, deliberate test builds a body of knowledge that compounds. You're not just testing products or ideas, you're testing assumptions. And when you test assumptions, you reduce risk, sharpen focus, and set yourself up for exponential growth. In the early years, Alibaba tried dozens of directions that went nowhere. Ma and his team tested multiple B2B platforms, e-commerce interfaces, payment systems, and logistics approaches, all before hitting their stride with Taobao and Alipay. Each failure became an experiment that revealed what customers actually wanted and what they didn't. For instance, When Alibaba's first attempt at online trade directories failed to attract small businesses, the team didn't give up. They refined the idea, focusing on trust between buyers and sellers. That insight became the foundation for the Alibaba reputation and rating system, one of the company's early competitive advantages. Strategic experimentation means designing failure as part of your growth. It's not reckless, it's intelligent risk-taking. You don't gamble the company. You run controlled tests. You don't invest everything in one idea. You place small, calculated bets and learn from every result. The formula is simple but powerful. Test, measure, learn, adjust, repeat. The power of small experiments. The fastest growing companies in the world today operate like laboratories. They don't guess, they test hypotheses. Amazon is a perfect example. Jeff Bezos famously said, "Our success at Amazon is a function of how many experiments we do per year, per month, per week, per day." That mindset made Amazon a discovery engine, not just a retailer. The same applies to individuals. You don't need millions of dollars or a massive team to apply this principle. You can experiment in your daily work, your side hustle, or your leadership style. Want to improve your sales strategy? Test 2 scripts this week and see which one converts better. Thinking of launching a new service? Offer it to a small test group first. Trying to build better habits? Track one variable, like your focus hours, and iterate weekly. Each small test compounds into greater insight. It builds confidence rooted in data, not emotion. Over time, you stop fearing mistakes because you know every wrong turn is just part of the map toward the right one. Alibaba's trial and error blueprint. In 2003, Alibaba faced one of its biggest competitive threats. eBay had entered China, backed by a global brand and billions in funding. Most companies would have retreated or tried to copy eBay's model. Jack Ma did the opposite. He told his team, "eBay is a shark in the ocean. We are a crocodile in the Yangtze River. If we fight in the ocean, we lose. But in the river, we win." That metaphor wasn't just colorful. It revealed an experimental strategy. Instead of going head-to-head with eBay's auction model, Ma and his team tested a localized, free-to-use marketplace designed around Chinese consumer habits. It was a risk, but it was also a data-driven hypothesis. Chinese small sellers cared more about community trust and flexible payments than Western-style bidding systems. The result? Taobao was born. Within 2 years, eBay shut down its China operations. That wasn't luck. It was the product of smart, adaptive experimentation, learning faster and acting quicker than the competition. Every test Alibaba ran, from pricing models to logistics partnerships, created compounding knowledge. They didn't just learn what worked for one product, they learned how to build a system that learns. That's the ultimate payoff of strategic experimentation, not just one success, but the ability to generate success repeatedly. The psychology behind testing and learning. Most people don't experiment because they fear looking foolish. The ego resists the idea of trial and error because it feels like failure. But in reality, experimentation is the most rational and efficient way to learn. The faster you test, the faster you learn, and the smaller each failure becomes. Psychologically, you can train your brain to see experiments as neutral information gathering, not personal judgment. The key is detachment. Detach your self-worth from your outcomes and attach it to your process. Ask yourself, did I test something new today? Did I measure the results? Did I learn from it? Those 3 questions shift your focus from outcome obsession to progress obsession. You stop chasing perfection and start chasing improvement. That's how mental resilience and strategic intelligence intersect. Practical exercise. The weekly experiment log. Here's a method you can start today. No tech, no capital, just intention. Pick one variable to test. It could be a pricing idea, a new pitch, a productivity routine, or a marketing tactic. Define your success metric. Decide how you'll know if it worked. Conversion rate, engagement, feedback, time saved, etc. Run the experiment for 7 days. Don't overthink it. Just collect results, record outcomes and insights. Write what worked, what didn't, and why. Decide your next move. Keep it, tweak it, or discard it. By week 4, you'll have a playbook of tested ideas and practical data about what moves your results forward. It's the same logic that built Alibaba's empire, scaled Amazon, and refined Tesla's innovation cycles. The difference is scale, not principle. From experimentation to compounding success. The magic of experimentation is compounding learning. Each small insight builds on the last. You might not see results immediately, but knowledge doesn't vanish, it layers. A failed marketing test teaches you more about audience psychology. A bad product launch shows you a pricing flaw. Over time, your judgment becomes sharper. Think of it like building muscle. Every experiment is a repetition. Each one strengthens your intuition, widens your perspective, and refines your instincts. The more you test, the less you fear failure, because you understand it's the price of discovery. Chapter 10. Failure as Fuel. Converting setbacks into unstoppable momentum. Failure is not the end. It's not even a pause. It's energy, raw, untamed energy, waiting to be redirected into your next move. The people who rise the fastest are not those who never fall. They are the ones who convert every fall into forward motion. Jack Ma once said, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure." That statement isn't motivational fluff. It's the strategy that built Alibaba from rejection, ridicule, and repeated setbacks into one of the most valuable companies in the world. To turn failure into fuel, you have to change your relationship with rejection. You must stop treating it as punishment and start treating it as feedback. Each rejection is a mirror showing you what's missing in your product, your message, or your mindset. The faster you face that mirror, the faster you evolve. Jack Ma's story is a masterclass in this principle. He failed the university entrance exam twice. He was rejected by over 30 jobs, including one at KFC. When he applied to Harvard, he was rejected 10 times. Most people would have internalized those rejections as proof they weren't good enough. Ma did the opposite. He treated them as training. He said, "When people reject you, learn to smile." That smile wasn't naivety, it was discipline. It was the conscious decision to turn pain into preparation. Let's examine how he did it. Step 1. Reframe rejection into information. When Jack Ma pitched Alibaba to investors in 1999, he faced overwhelming skepticism. Silicon Valley thought a Chinese e-commerce site couldn't compete internationally. Investors dismissed his idea as too small, too risky, and too early. But Ma didn't interpret their rejection as personal failure. He treated it as data. He refined his pitch, improved his numbers, clarified his mission, and came back stronger. By 2000, that refined vision, a trusted platform connecting small Chinese suppliers to the global market, earned him $25 million in funding from Goldman Sachs and SoftBank. What changed? Not the idea, the energy. He turned rejection into momentum. That's the first step. Separate emotion from information. When you're rejected, don't spiral into frustration. Instead, ask, what specific reason was given for the rejection? What assumptions were I operating under? What can I learn from the person who said no? Each no becomes a diagnostic report on your growth areas. Step 2. Build the failure journal. A tool Jack Ma would have loved, and one you can start today, the failure journal. Every time you fail, write it down. Record 3 things. What went wrong? Be specific and objective, why it happened. Identify the root cause, not the surface excuse, what I'll do next time. This process converts emotional pain into intellectual clarity. It forces your brain to treat failure as information, not identity. The act of writing slows you down just enough to process the lesson instead of reacting to the disappointment. In time, your failure journal becomes a treasure map of growth. You'll start to see patterns, recurring weaknesses, blind spots, or habits. Jack Ma used this exact mental framework. After every public mistake, he conducted internal reviews with his team. When Alibaba's early software failed to meet user needs, he didn't hide the failure. He held open meetings, discussed errors openly, and used those insights to improve the next version. This radical transparency built trust and created a learning culture. Your journal should do the same for you. Write your failures. Review them weekly. Extract one lesson and one action step from each. Within months, your momentum will become unstoppable because you'll no longer fear mistakes. You'll feed off them. Step 3. Use failure as emotional conditioning. Momentum isn't just about learning. It's about emotion. Failure produces strong emotions: disappointment, embarrassment, frustration. That's emotional conditioning. It acknowledges that pain is part of progress and that endurance is a competitive advantage. Think of athletes. Every elite performer uses discomfort as data. They don't quit when training hurts. They interpret pain as growth. In business, it's the same. The emotional sting of rejection is a signal that you're playing at the edge of your ability, and that's exactly where transformation happens. Next time you face a failure, try this exercise. Pause for 1 full minute. Feel the emotion fully. Don't suppress it. Label the lesson you can extract. Write it down in your journal. Act immediately. Take one small step to improve the situation. This process rewires your nervous system to associate failure with forward motion. Over time, you'll develop emotional calluses, not numbness, but strength. Step 4. Turn criticism into calibration. Jack Ma was often criticized for being unrealistic. Early on, when he spoke about building a global Chinese company, people laughed. He used those laughs as calibration points, proof that he was ahead of the curve. If everyone agrees with you, he said, maybe you're not thinking big enough. Criticism is powerful energy, if you know how to redirect it. When someone doubts you, use it as feedback about how your message or execution might be misunderstood. Instead of defending yourself, dissect the feedback. Ask, what truth might be hidden inside this criticism? What does their reaction teach me about my communication, my strategy, or my audience? Criticism is often the first sign you're breaking old patterns or entering uncharted territory. Learn to welcome it as evidence that you're stretching your limits. Step 5. Transform setbacks into story. Your failures don't just fuel your growth, they fuel your story. People follow leaders who are transparent about their struggles because it makes success relatable. Jack Ma's honesty about his early rejections became a cornerstone of his personal brand. When he spoke at global forums, his humility resonated deeply because people saw themselves in his story. He often said, "I failed many times." If you want to succeed, learn from the mistakes of others, not from the success stories. That perspective made him not just a billionaire, but a teacher, a living reminder that success built on failure is stronger than success built on luck. In your own journey, share your lessons openly. Tell your story not as a victim, but as a student of experience. When you articulate your setbacks publicly, with insight and accountability, you create credibility. You inspire others while reinforcing your own learning. Step 6. Build momentum through compounding recovery. Each time you recover from a failure, your recovery muscle strengthens. The faster you can move from failure to action, the more unstoppable your momentum becomes. Failure is not your enemy. It is your secret weapon. Every rejection, every setback, every embarrassing loss is a lesson waiting to be mined. Jack Ma turned dozens of failures into a global empire. The same blueprint is available to you. Persist relentlessly, embrace risk, extract the lesson from every loss, and never fear the impossible. Today, you have the choice. Stay safe and remain average, or fail forward with purpose. Turn setbacks into fuel, and dominate your industry. Your challenge is simple. Start today. Take one risk, make one move, fail one time, and use it to crush your goals. No excuses. The world doesn't wait, and neither should you.